We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email john@nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break. What time is that coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good evening, bonny lads and lasses. Welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith, and Joe Allon for his second show. How are you, Joe?
Very good, Steve. Very good. How are you?
Very good, mate. Good to see you.
I've heard you've been walking a lot today.
God almighty, unbelievable, Jeff. 25,000 steps a day. I've met myself coming back.
You should have done a great off run, lad.
Unbelievable. But anyway, I'm back in time to do the show, which is the main thing. And as always, plenty to talk about on the Newcastle United beat in the next hour. If you've got any questions for me or Joe, get them in and we will endeavour to answer them. No game tonight, of course. Newcastle United supposed to be at Wimbledon, but unfortunately the weather got the better of the fixture. And Newcastle United now will face Wimbledon a week today at St James's Park, 1st of October. Those of you who are already part of the ticket situation with regards to the Carabao Cup will have had an email off the club today to tell you that it will be available as a downloadable ticket and you must download it when you get the link. So don't forget to do that when the email arrives. I believe that they're already selling the remaining tickets in the ballot. So good luck if you are applying for that. But let's focus, first of all, Joe, on the game at the weekend. Our unbeaten run came to an end. Newcastle, of course, losing 3-1 at Fulham. Missed out on the opportunity to win 3 games in a calendar year at Craven Cottage. And it was a fair result, Joe. I don't think we could say much more than that.
I think I said last week, Steve, when we spoke about the Fulham game, I like the manager a lot, but his team, I really think he's a really shrewd manager. And he's built his team to play an attacking form of football. And Fulham will surprise a hell of a lot of people this season. I'll tell you that. People will think, oh, it was a dolly for us to go to Fulham because we've won there twice this year, as you rightly say. But you know, this Fulham team's a different Fulham team that we played last season, and attacking wise, I thought they were outstanding. You know.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the biggest disappointment I think for us this season has been the formation, the midfield. We were talking earlier today about this. Starting lineup, he made changes, Joe, and I think we talk on podcasts. Journalists talk. Week in, week out about this player and that player, and we're not experts. We don't get paid the big bucks that Eddie Howe does, but his starting lineup really was good enough to get a result down there. He went with Pope in goal, brought Trippier back in at full back. Shaw and Byrne continued to play together at centre half. He made a big decision in deciding to play Kelly at left back as opposed to playing Hall. So both Livramento and Hall on the bench. I think the big shock for everybody was after praising Sean Longstaff last week, he took Willock. He put Willock in, took Longstaff out of the situation. Willock, of course, really just coming back from injury, has had fleeting appearances as a substitute and certainly changed the game along with the other subs at Wolves. The remaining team, to start the game was Guimaraes, of course, Joe Linton, Anthony Gordon, Barnes was given an opportunity with his goal-scoring run, and Alexander Isak ploughing that lone furrow up front. For us on the bench, we had Lewis Hall, Jacob Murphy, Tino Livramento, Tonali, and Asula, who'd yet to feature. We also had Dubravka, Kraft, Almiron, and Sean Longstaff. So many questioning why Longstaff was dropped. Was he injured, etc.? Well, he was fit enough to be on the bench, so he was available. So the changes, I think we were talking about the fullbacks this morning, Joe. That was the big thing for you, wasn't it? That he's changing his fullbacks on a regular basis at the minute.
Very surprising for me, You're saying chopping and changing the fullbacks as well. I mean, you're talking sometimes the decision's getting made after 45 minutes, and is that the problem that we have? Is that the area that we've got the problem, the fullbacks? I mean, it has to be said in the first half, especially the left-hand side, they got roasted. You've got to say that the Traore, for me, was man of the match. And the right full-back for Fulham, Teto, I believe it was, Tete. They gave him a torrid time, and they took him off. And basically, Fulham's right-hand side player led to them dominating the game. And you think, all these substitutions in fullback, is that where the problems lie? And I don't know. I mean, you mentioned Longstaff, and it was interesting to say, he was on the bench all game. But when the substitutions come on and you wanted a goal, Longstaff's got a canny goal scoring record from midfield. But he didn't play him. He didn't put him on. Another one for me is Tonali getting put on at limited times in games, I really want to see more of it. I think he'll want to see more himself. I mean, he's been out for a year. And, I look at the bench and I'm looking where we're going to get a goal from. A 2-0 down in football, Steve, yourself, in any game of football, whether you're professional or whatever, you're 2-0 down the game, you're not out the game if you get the next goal. If you score the next goal, you're back into the game. A 2-1, you're really much back into the game. We score a goal after 50 seconds, whatever it was, in the second half, you're back in the game. Then you're looking, we've got a split chance where Shaw's went through. He squares that, to Isak for the tap-in. You're back to 2-2. That is a fact. When, as a goal scorer, people used to say to me, why did you not pass it if I missed? I used to back myself and say, because I've got more chance of scoring than you. Shaw in that position, passing it just alongside for a tap-in for Isak, that was the right thing to do. You're back in the game at 2-2. And then the Bruno fiasco, which we have to say it was a schoolboy error. I mean, you've mentioned Bruno before, I'm sure we'll come to him, but that sort of thing when you're told as a youngster when you're playing, never play balls across your own box, never play balls across your penalty area, whoever you are, you don't do that. And that invariably killed us off, But the focus on the fullbacks and the midfield position, I thought Jacob Murphy did well when he come on, he was bright and he made the goal. at the same time, and Barnes, took it really well. But, when you're looking at the bench and I'm thinking, where are we going to get a goal from? We need a goal. And I'm thinking, his goal scoring games ratio isn't very good. Even though he's 100% and he run himself to the ground, nobody's saying that he doesn't do that. Is he going to get you a goal to get you back into the game? I don't think so. Kraft's not going to get you a goal. You're looking round who's going to get you a goal. And I'm talking about Fulham's forward play. You've got Emile Smith-Rowe, you've got Jimenez, you've got Traore, and you've got the other lad who could have been man of the match as well, Iwobi, who there's 4 outstanding forward players. Now, I know Fulham's playing at home, but we don't play 4 forward players in any match, whether we're at home or away. Them 4 really took the game to Newcastle United, and that was where the game was won and lost. With them 4, I mean, 2 of them were on the score, 3 of them were on the score sheet. And you look at that and you think, 2 of them were on the score sheet, but instrumental Iwobi in making goals as well. And he should have had a goal himself if it wasn't for a world-class save. We'll put it down to his Pope. He didn't know much about it, but hey, goalkeepers are there to stop them,
Yeah, they certainly are. Would you prefer to see Newcastle play tonight, Joe? I mean, obviously it was beyond anyone's control with the state of the pitch at Wimbledon, but these things happen. The game now, obviously, a week on Tuesday. Would you have preferred Newcastle to play tonight, or do you think that week off is going to help them, more?
Trust us, for any player, you want to get straight back out there, whether you've lost or won. Honestly, you want to get straight back out there. I'm not into all this too many games in a season and all that. You're there to be a professional footballer and you want to play. You could have put things right today. Who knows, he could have started Tyne today to give him a full 90 minutes like he tried to do against Forest in the Cup. But, you want to play and you want to put things right. I mean, if there's a game ever going to be called off, by the way, for a Waterloo pitch, bloody hell, they took it to the limit, didn't they? I've never seen anything like that in my life. A sinkhole, I believe they called it. I think it happened in the Northern League back in the day, down at one of the colliery grounds. But, you want to be playing there, and that's your time to try different things. To play in the cup competitions are important, but we've certainly got enough in our artillery to put out a side there that's capable of beating Wimbledon. Come on. I mean, I'm not being funny and I'm not taking anything for granted. But yes, you can only beat what's in front of you. But you'd be wanting to put that right. You'd be wanting players to be busting the gut, to be knocking on Eddie's door, to be wanting to be in the game, in the team at the weekend, That's what you want. That's it. That's the attitude you want of the players.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the body language of some of the players can be, it can be deceiving. Final thing on the game of the weekend, you just want to put it to the back of your mind. But, all of the disruption, the summer of discontent, which we've talked about relentlessly on this program, it just feels like it's coming home to roost. It does feel like some of the players aren't as committed, aren't putting the same effort in. But I think it's simple, and I think we've hit the nail on the head a couple of times this week. I just think it's down to the fact he doesn't know his best team. The formation is an issue as well. And somebody's put a question in here about it. George Bainbridge, he says, we need to start with a 5-5-0-1 or a 3-5-2, control the midfield and dominate the game. And I think definitely it is down to that midfield selection, Joe. I mean, that's the first game we've lost this season. We dropped Sean Longstaff. He's not playing Bruno. He's not playing Tonali when we all expected him to at least, start at least a couple of games. But he's not, he just doesn't seem to know what to do with all these midfielders. And in a couple of months' time, he's going to have Lewis Miley in the mix as well.
Well, I've heard a rumour that his injury is worse than what it was, poor Lewis, I think. So he's going to have a major setback. He's not in the running of late. It's going to be a few more months, I've heard. I don't know how true it is, but, there's no smoke without fire, as we've said before. I just think if you're going out with attacking players like the way Fulham played against us, and they put the stall out to attack. I mean, I didn't expect Eddie to become a Kevin Keegan overnight, because he'll never do that. And let's face it, we haven't got the players to play that attacking. But it would be nice to start. I mean, with them having 3 players up front on Saturday, you can at least match them by putting 2 to 3 players. That's going to give them something to occupy them. You know, you play a man against a man usually in football. So it's pointless having spare players in the middle of the park. If you've got 5 in midfield and 1 up front, you've got to use that 5th player to make him your front man, not being so isolated, you know. And that's what's been happening to Isak, and he hasn't looked himself. He had a great pre-season, but scoring goals in pre-season, I'll tell you, it doesn't get you in the team, you know. You can score as many goals as you want in pre-season. You've got to do it on a Saturday. Well, it used to be a Saturday at 3 o'clock. Fortunately, it was for us on Saturday, and it was the wrong result.
Lots of people saying 4 different formations. 4-2-3-1 is one that Gary's coming up with. I mean, is there a call for going back to 4-4-2, Joe, or is that dead and buried now? Lots of, with Keegan's revolution at Newcastle, and then Wenger and Alex Ferguson, and now obviously the emergence of managers like Mourinho and then Pep Guardiola. You know, football has changed. The Premier League's changed. We're told the players are fitter now, and they're athletes. They're not footballers like you were back in the 80s and 90s. And is 4-4-2 dead and buried, or is it time to bring it back? Because you look at what we've got on the pitch, what we've got available on the pitch. We could revert to that. Why do you think that we are looking at all these different types of formations now?
Well, one for me, it's looking at the types of formation. Hey, I'm in a program, and one of the sentences is keep it simple. Football's keep it simple. It's don't complicate it. Play's complicated. It's 11 against 11 at the end of the day. If you've got a player that needs occupying on the opposition, whatever formation it is, you're going to have to come across a player you're going to go 1-to-1 against. Now, the formations for me, I'll always play 2 up front, because I don't think the lone striker gets the support he needs by the players that's playing deeper, because they're not programmed to do that, So you have to have a 2 up front for me at least. And if you're having the 1, for God's sake, get the wide men, get Gordon to play further up, get Harvey Barnes to push on. Don't leave your forward, which is Alexander Isak. Don't leave him isolated, because it's a lonely place up there. Because 9 times out of 10, them 4 defenders are just occupied by Isak, and he can't do it all on his own,
Yeah, it's interesting. The formations, again, it is down to Eddie Howe. David McLeod says, I think the captaincy's weighing heavily on Bruno. It's thrown him off his game, like it did with Maguire at Manchester United. Would you agree that the captaincy can give you that added pressure to your game, Joe?
Well, they used to say it about England cricket teams. I'm not sure about England football teams, but the thing about Bruno is, and it's there all to be seen, and David's right, Bruno's not playing like he did last season. It's as simple as that. You can say, is it the fact that the captaincy's weighing him out, or is he out of form? Is he got, try Tonali with him. People will say, oh, you can't play Bruno and you can't play Tonali in the same team. Try it. You've got to give it a go. There's not a lot of chopping and changing that can be done unless you're a fullback. If I was a fullback at Newcastle United, I'd be looking over my shoulder to Kieran Trippier. Back in my day, I was wanting to kick the centre forwards so that I could get a game instead of him. I think I was a fullback now. I'll be looking who's going to the toilet before me, because I might be getting duffed in. Because if you're a fullback, that position's a little bit precarious, shall we say.
What's your thoughts on the fullbacks? We've already talked a little bit about them. Who would you go with now? If you were sitting down with Eddie Howe now, chewing the fat about the rest of the season, you've got a choice. You've got Livramento and Hall, the young up and coming fullbacks. You've got Trippier, who you could play left back. He played there for England, and you've got Emil Kraft. You've also got Matt Targett, who is fit, and he is probably the only recognised left back at the club. What partnership would you go for at full back?
Well, there's 2 places. You've just mentioned 4, now you've added a 5th. So that'll do Eddie a pile of good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So that's 5.
But it's interesting because Matt Targett's like the forgotten man. And I mean, the last time he played, I think it was the Tranmere game, he got injured, but he had a run out in midfield, I think, or just in front of the back 4. So he wasn't playing left back. Eddie, he was a great servant, Eddie, in that relegation escape. But after that, he got injured. He was ill. He got injured, and he never got back in the team. So what more can he do? But who would your 2 fullbacks be?
Well, I said last week about Trippier's experience, right back or left back. I don't mind, actually. I think we're a better side with him in the team. I think because of his experience, it's unprecedented that he should be in the team. Livramento's got too much ability not to play for me. I think he's done great, and I thought it was very harsh that he got, he's not first choice as regarding he's won his battle against Trippier in pre-season, and then now he find himself took off again. So I'd probably go with them two, play Trippier at left back and play Livramento at full back. And there is very good potential, I will say, in the other full backs, especially Lewis Hall, who will be frustrated, but at the same time, it's trying to put a jigsaw puzzle at full backs into two slots, and square pegs don't go into round holes,
A lot of people do feel that Bruno being away from his kids and family won't help. They've been abroad for a while, so maybe them coming back might see the best of Bruno. But yeah, he certainly hasn't been playing towards his best standards. And Clinton, I agree. Matt Targett is a solid left back. He is a left back. Maybe he hasn't got the pace, but I don't think you could go far wrong against most Premier League teams by probably playing Kieran Trippier at right back and playing him at left back. But that's not the way Eddie sees it now. He's made the decision to play Tino Livramento and play Lewis Hall, and now he's backtracking. Emil Kraft, as you know, says the best performing fullback's not even been mentioned. Emil Kraft. He can play centre-half as well, and he is an international still. Matt Targett's our specialist left back. Never put a foot wrong for us. Odd situation. Yano says, sorry, in my opinion, Matt Targett is absolute crap. It's what it's all about, though. It's all about opinions.
We've got 8 fullbacks. We've got 8 fullbacks with 2 places. Any chance of getting some forwards?
Exactly. Well, this is it, yeah. Gav says, is Matt Targett fit? He is fit. Yeah, he is fit. And Gav just says, would you play him? You want the honest answer at the moment, Gav? For a bit of balance at the moment, I would play him at left back, yeah. But again, it comes down to what we always discuss on here. We don't see these players the rest of the week. We don't know what's going on in training. We're not privy to what's happening in training. Are the players fit enough as far as Eddie Howe's concerned? Certainly something that I'm seeing more of on social media at the minute, Joe, from fans, is that people just don't feel the high press is there. They don't feel the energy's there anymore. There was a couple of situations. It's easy to point out, but there's one situation where, Gordon duffed a clearance. It's the best way to describe it. He duffed a clearance in the second half, and normally he would have chased the ball back down because he's made that error. He stood more or less, and looked at it and just didn't chase the ball. And that's what fans, yourself, Joe, as a Newcastle fan yourself, all we ask is people to try and put the best effort in. But if people are starting to do that, questions are going to be asked.
For sure. I mean, the first thing foremost that you put on that black and white shirt or any football shirt is you've got to give 100%. Now, we were always taught as well, even me, and I hated it, but I had to do it, is you defend from the front. I heard the Liverpool manager, Slot, talking about, his great defence that he's got, and the whole team's based around his defence. What he said was, it starts from the front, and you defend from the front, and that's what you're on about, the high press and closing down, and everybody does it together. You've got to go together as a team, You go up like a boat, you come back as a boat, you go back, and that's the way you press. You didn't have one going this way and then one going there, and, I'm just too late. I've heard just too late so many times in football. I could have got there, Gaffer. I was just too late. That costs you straight away. Everybody's got to be pulling in the right direction. I nearly said something in the pot, but I didn't. I did well.
You did well, yeah. I mean, Gary, you're right. Mark, Eddie Howe did play Hall in pre-season as a 6, which for me really confused me, Gary, because I thought he was going to play at left back. And then at the start of the season, he sticks Hall in at left back when he's played most of the games as a 6. And I was thinking, why is he doing that? Why is he playing him as a 6 when he's overloaded in midfield anyway? He's got the scenario to sort out with Tonali, Bruno, Joe Linton. I just found that strange. I really did, unless it was just to get him minutes and get him fit. I really don't understand that. And I'm not convinced about Lloyd Kelly. I'm still not convinced about him being a fullback. I don't think he likes playing there. And I don't think they're seeing the best of him. And Clinton says Hall, Byrne, Kelly and Trippier all played left back. This tells me Eddie isn't happy with the left back cover. So play a target, which is what we've said already on the show tonight. Blue Rhythm Boy as well, saying left back remains a concern. It's never been addressed since Target was dropped. Before we go to the advert break, Blue Rhythm Boy says, a question for Joe, Gazza or Bruno, Joe?
Gazza, every day of the week. Sorry, Bruno, I love you daily and all that, but I'm not brought up to say output Gazza, but at the same time, remember he was the best player in the world in 1990.
He was, and let's give the viewers one of your little vintage stories before we go to the break about Gazza. You were going to tell us a little story about Kevin's boots.
Yeah. So when you're apprentice, Steve, and viewers, you get in charge of a pro's boots. So an apprentice will probably have 3 pros that you look after their boots. Gazza, call it unfortunate, or if you're Kevin Keegan, or call it fortunate if you're Gazza. Kevin Keegan was his pro. So Gazza had to look after Kevin Keegan's boots. Back in the day, Kevin Keegan wore Patrick. He was sponsored by Patrick. I mean, Kevin Keegan even had his name on his own boots before it was fashionable to have a name on the boots. He actually had the whole style named after him, Keegan Patrick's. So Gazza's in charge of his boots. We're playing QPRs, you know, debut for KK, St James's Park, sell out. And we're there Friday afternoon. We go to St James's Park from Benwell. We get the 38 bus. Gazza's got Keegan's boots under his arm. It wasn't in my Presto carrier bag, but it was in a carrier bag. He's not letting them go. We're on the bus. We're going to St James's to put the players' kit out for that first game of the season. Everything perfect. We, as apprentices, we know the team because we're putting the boots out, so we know. Now, if the players were wise enough back in the day, they could have, not that there was mobile phones, but you could have gotten somebody to drop you a line and said, oh, by the way, you're playing because your boots are out. That's how we always knew the team before the press, before anybody else, even before the players. Anyway, we're on the bus to the 38 and we're getting to St James's and Gazza's messing on, and not like him, but he's messing on, clotting on. He's every passenger that's getting on, he's going, excuse me. And the passengers are turning around and he's putting his head down and pointing out the window and starting to talk to me. And the passengers are looking around saying, who's that? And whatever. And every time there's a passenger, excuse me. And he's doing it on and I'm going like, will you pack it in, lad? Anyway, I say to him just to stop before St James's as a shop. I says, oh, I'll get off here. I'll get us some chocolate for this afternoon. So he went right on and we're getting off. He's slapping them on the back of the heads as he's getting off the bus. He's going, sorry, excuse me. And he's slapping the passenger like nutter. So we get off the bus. We get to St James's. We've got the chocolate. We're putting the boots out. I'm head apprentice, so I've got the list. Number 7, Kevin Keegan. Got their special case boots, Gazza? Aye? No. What do you mean, no? Oh, shite. Oh, hell. And then he swore, I've left the boots on the bus. I went, no. Bearing in mind, this is Kevin Keegan's debut for Newcastle United. The boots are on the 38. At which point, there's an old boy that used to get in the paddock all the time, right? What a character of a fan. He was called Old Stevie. We used to call him Old Stevie. And Stevie used to come everywhere with us. He used to come to training every day. He'd be at the ground every single day. He loved and adored his team. Newcastle United were his love. Stevie was on the same bus as us. And he got off at Warwick Street. And he got the carrier bag with Keegan's boots in and brought them back to the ground. Now, who would ever have known that Stevie, the mad Geordie fan who loved Newcastle more than anything, found Kevin Keegan's boots on the 38 bus and had the gumption to bring them back to St James's Park and save Gazza's backside, shall we say. And the rest is history.
Stevie Charlton, top man, and he's actually in our opening credits now. You'll have noticed we've had a little bit of a refresh.
Stevie Charlton, that's it.
And I've given...
I never watched the adverts. I'm not...
No. Well, we've got a new one. We've got a new intro now, and the intro is 2 minutes long. So the lads and lasses get a little bit more of the long sounds because they do enjoy the long sounds. So it's 2 minutes long, and Stevie Charlton's featured on there, which is it's nice. And yeah, Gazza is on at the City Hall. I've been to the City Hall today to talk about an event up there, and that's sold out now. So if you were thinking I'm going to see Gazza, it's already sold out. So let's hope it's a big night, a good night for Paul, and he has a great night. David McLeod says, "Dad jokes. Why do Oasis like soup? Because you've got to roll with it."
Well done, Dave.
And Taylor from Scotland, he says, "How do you know if a vampire is unwell? He will be coughing." Leave the jokes to Joe. I think that's what we'll say. Here's the ads. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102 or email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Thanks to our NUFC Matters fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. Travel and Tourism Award winners 2024. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. All excursions included, 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges, a 2-crew driver and courier. It's a local family company, and you can find them at www.unitedgrouptravel.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you want to help support the channel, hit the subscribe button. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up under the video. That's the like button. It does help us grow. And click the share button. Help share to your social media. If you want to join the channel for as little as $1.99 a month, then hit the join button under this video today. We also help the food bank on this channel. Visit nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. It takes you to the matchday bucket where you can donate some money virtually. Some events for your diary in aid of Dementia Matters. The Long Sands will be reforming and be supported by Lilac Lane and the Chris Norris Band at the Cluny in Newcastle on Saturday, January the 4th, 2025. Tickets are £15 pre-sale from newcastlelegends.com. An evening with Peter Beardsley takes place at the Tyneside Irish Centre on the 10th of January 2025. Tickets available from newcastlelegends.com or from Woucher. And an evening with the Entertainers takes place on the 24th of January 2025. Telephone the box office 0844 249 1000 or visit the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. And the Magpie Lounge at Gateshead Leisure Centre is now open. 7 talk-ins for £99. Joe Allon will be hosting talk-ins with Lee Clark, John Anderson, Steve Howie, Darren Peacock, Supermac, Steve Watson, John Beresford. All between the dates of January and July. £99 for 7 talk-ins, newcastlelegends.com. And don't forget, you can subscribe to our NUFC Matters fanzine, £20 for 4 issues with all proceeds going to Dementia Matters. If you live overseas, it is £50 for 4 issues. To order now, go to newcastlelegends.com. Don't forget as well, Derek Wright's book launch with Joe will be taking place at the Tyneside Irish Centre the 15th of November. You get a book from the man himself. Joe will be doing a Q&A with him, and the tickets for that are £22 with all proceeds going to charity. So get yourself along. This is the only event Derek Wright will be doing. Got some great stories about being physio at Newcastle United, and you get a signed book in time for Christmas as well. Another book you can get for Christmas is the Entertainers book, which Will Scott has brought out. 29 wonderful interviews in there about that wonderful season that we nearly won the league. Of course, how it started and how it ended. $13.99 from newcastlelegends.com. The fanzine, 10 left, 10 subscriptions left. with the proceeds going to Dementia Matters. I have posted another 80 today, so we're down to the last 40 that will go out tomorrow. And then everyone's fanzine will be in the post and on its way. A few people who I'll be able to meet before the match the weekend. I will hand deliver them myself to you. But thank you for everybody. Should have a total by Friday as to what we're handing over at the Dementia Centre. I'll be handing that over this week because they do need the cash. They do need the funds. So if you are wanting the 4 issues for 20 quid, go to newcastlelegends.com and subscribe today so you don't miss out. There's only 10 subscriptions remaining. And I've been asked to promote this for the Lennox Lewis evening, Tuesday the 5th of November, bonfire night. He's going to be back at Gateshead Leisure Centre. And that is the 3-time heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis. And tickets are available, or information available, from goldstarpromotions.co.uk. Get yourself along there. That'll be a cracking night in Gateshead. He fought there in the 90s, so it's a return to Gateshead Leisure Centre for Lennox Lewis. I think he was an amateur when he boxed there, so great stuff. Good luck to Gateshead Leisure Centre with that talking. Okay, a few questions that we got early doors. Let's go back to them. Michael West. Evening. Great first show, Joe, last week. He says, Joe, do you recall playing with Tony Hayton? Went to school with Tony. I remember him singing yours and Gazza's praises.
Tony Hayton, what a player and what a person. Tony Hayton used to come from Ashington, Steve. Michael, sorry. On his dad's motorbike, he used to be pillying on the back of his dad's motorbike to get to training every day from Ashington. So he was passenger on a motorbike. And I swear to you, Tony Hayton in the middle of the park playing with Gazza in our very successful youth cup winning squad. Tony was a regular that played every single game. And he used to do the, if you like, the holding role, but we used to call it the dirty work. He'd be in there, he would tackle his grandmother for £1, by the way. And I swear to you, he was as tough as goat's knees. I swear to you, he was a proper hard midfielder that could play as well. And like I say, he was a lovely, lovely person as well. And I just hope you didn't copy off him at school, Michael, because he was no, he wasn't that bad. He wasn't.
Questions flying in now, Joe. Let's try and mix it up a bit so we don't have the same ones. Jules just says, was great to meet Joe at the summer do. Not sure if he'll remember, but he had a chat with my partner who's from Hartlepool and remembers watching Joe play for the Pools. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, everybody from Hartlepool, they come up, but everybody that night as well. It was great to meet Jules as well and his partner. But and it's, I'll never get sick of saying it, Steve, from me and you, the kindness that everybody show to Dementia Matters and the money that they give, eternally grateful. I've got to say thank you for that, but it was really great meeting you as well, Jules. Thank you.
Les says, I used to watch Stevie Charlton feeding Keegan with sweets during the match. And Ian Brownlee says, brilliant, Joe. What a story that was. I had those Patrick boots. I tortured my dad to buy me them. Tom Richardson, good afternoon. He's in the USA. Good old Tom. And Tom, your article looks splendid in the fanzine, by the way. I never saw Joe play, but I could listen to him all day. Great stuff. In my opinion, Byrne and Shaw are slower than last year, and Bruno's slow too. We need to add a partner to Bruno in form of the centre backs, in front of the centre backs, I think he means. But yeah, I think, we've talked about it earlier on. And yeah, look, these players aren't getting any younger either. I mean, Shaw's coming up to the end of his latest contract, and he's in his 30s now. Dan Burns in his 30s. Nick Pope's in his 30s. We know the footballers can go on slightly longer now, but they're coming towards the back end of their career. They're not young pups anymore, Joe.
No, but at the end of the day, let's not just all get panicky because we've lost a game. These players have been there and they've done it in a black and white shirt, week in and week out for seasons now. I mean, this is Eddie's 3rd season, so these players, just don't throw them under the bus just yet. I could have been critical of Shaw, to be honest, because of the first goal that Jimenez scored. I think he turned too easy for me. And if you have a look, and I look at this, it's a great finish, don't get us wrong. He turns on a sixpence. But the pair of them are one behind each other, Shaw and Dan Burner, like that. And the goalkeeper could have possibly been a little bit unsighted as well. And I'm not taking it away from the goal scorer because I never would. But I just thought he got that chance to turn that little bit on the sixpence a little bit too easy for me. And again, if he passed that ball at 2-1, we're back in the ball game there at 2s apiece.
Yeah, 100%. Jules says, thanks for your kind words. You made Dave a Northeast lad, now trapped in the Midlands. Smile, that's the Hartlepool lad. So great stuff. Hope you're well, Dave. Hope you're well, Jules. Joe, the direction of travel appears to be this. It could be Howe's last season, says Blue Rhythm Boy. Do you think he's ultimately going to be England manager, or do you think it's Carsley's job now? Lampard's also been mentioned on here. Yeah, Lampard's definitely been. I've been told that Lampard's had an interview, Blue Rhythm Boy, from a very reliable source, and it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Him and Ashley Cole. I mean, Ashley Cole is now part of the coaching staff for England, I believe. It's only a matter of time before somebody from that generation gets the job. Could be a Gerrard, could be a Lampard, could be anybody. But what do you reckon, Joe? Do you think Eddie Howe's, potentially going to be England manager, and that's why we're in this position at the moment where Carsley's only got the job temporarily?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to get wrong off you, but I want to put you on the spot because you've got a man in the know that works at Newcastle Airport. I heard a rumour that Eddie Howe possibly went for an interview. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know for definite whether he's had an interview or not.
Can I push on that?
I don't know whether he's definitely had an interview for England. I wasn't there, but I know a couple of people, and it wasn't at the airport. It was somebody who is in the know with regards to where you would go for that kind of meeting and who you would go with and how you would get there. I believe that Howe potentially could have had his interview, but there's nothing concrete. And I don't want to add to the speculation that's out there, and people turn around and say, "Oh, Steve Wraith said he's had his England interview." That's not the case. It's possible that he has, but that would just add to the maelstrom and all the trouble that we've got, going on at our club. If he has had his England interview, how would people feel? How would people feel if he did leave now? It would be interesting to see if he did take the job. But I think Howe is committed to Newcastle. There's an interview that Steve Hastie's just sent me this afternoon. I haven't had a time to read through it, but apparently it's let me get this up so I don't misquote Steve. Right, okay. It's Howe and Mitchell hold clear the air talks over Newcastle power struggle. And that was in the... Which newspaper is it? It's one of these. It's Mark Douglas. So Mark Douglas, we know him well. Worked for the Journal, worked for the Evening Chronicle. He's now a Northern football correspondent. I think he's freelance. But this is what prompts you to think maybe there's an opportunity here for Howe to go out and go and take the England job. It's I Magazine. That's who it is. I newspaper. Sorry. They're saying that they've held clear the air talks, Joe. But on the other hand, they're saying that they haven't fallen out. So if they haven't fallen out, Joe, and they're saying there's no issues, why are they having clear the air talks? This article also says that recruitment, Paul Mitchell now has 90% say on recruitment. As a sporting director, aren't you supposed to have 100%, Joe?
Well, I don't know if you saw it because you were probably aware at Wolves, but so Les Ferdinand was doing the co-commentary on Sky, and I found it quite interesting for the Wolves game. Sorry, I found it quite interesting because Les's insight, bearing in mind that he'd been chief sporting director at QPR for nine years. So if anybody knows the role, it's Les Ferdinand. If anybody knows our club, it's Les Ferdinand. And he seemed to suggest that the relationship between the sporting director, the role that he had, and the manager was an integral part of the club for harmony. Bearing in mind, if a sporting director buys a player and he gives them to the manager and the manager hasn't said, I want this player or I don't want them, Les was basically saying he would never go to the manager and say, there's a player that I've bought, you get on with it. He would introduce the manager to the idea that he was thinking about buying this player. What did the manager think? And I thought Les Ferdinand put himself across really, really well when he was working for Sky that afternoon of the Wolves game, and giving a little insight in what the role of a sporting director is about. So if anybody saw that and was watching Sky like I did, they would have picked where Les wasn't sitting on the fence. He was basically saying the guys need to get together and work in harmony. I've always said, whoever you are, there's not one person or two people bigger than Newcastle United Football Club. I didn't care who you are. There's nobody bigger than the club. Newcastle United is the institution. That's what it's all about. And that's what we love. So it's down to them to get the fix.
Oh, we've lost Joe. He may well have had a phone call. So what I'll do, whilst Joe sorts his technical stuff out, is go through a few of these questions and see whether I can answer them. I might have to take Joe out there because that's not the most complimentary of images to stay. I'll keep an eye and make sure he gets his signal sorted out and comes back. Other stuff. Let's see, where are we? A lot of the questions, of course, aimed for Joe, not for me. Mark Byers will take that. They denied there was an issue, so why would they need clear the air talk? Someone's telling fibs, which is what I was saying. I just think the whole thing is rather strange. It's a situation where Newcastle United have now got themselves into this position where they need some decent PR from this. I think the natural thing to do on this occasion would be to have Mitchell and Eales come out and have a press conference and take questions from the press. They can't do that on a Friday at the Premier League press conference. What they can do, though, is hold a press conference during the week and say, this is where we're at. This is the situation. They could have one with Eddie Howe during the week and say, look, just to put this to bed, this is where we're at. But are they going to do that? Do we think that will happen? Do we think Newcastle United would do that? Would other clubs do that? Probably not. Probably, we probably get more information out of the club now than we have in the last 14 years. And I think we all find that a bit strange. But now when we get stuff from the club and it's not necessarily stuff that we don't want to hear, then it tends to cause a storm on social media. So you can't have it both ways. You either don't get anything and you just have to accept that football clubs will do things in-house, and your job as a supporter is to go and support the team, and that's that. Or you get information, as we do, and we just have to accept that that's what we're going to get, and that's the way it is, So it's an interesting situation, that. No sign of Joe, which is unfortunate. So we've just got to hope that his phone hasn't packed in, or that could curtail the show tonight. Councillor Spenny says, I think Eddie Howe is going to England. It's just a matter of time. Look, there are lots of rumours circulating at the moment about the England manager's job. A lot of people talking about Eddie Howe potentially having had an interview. I really think that Eddie Howe has got more loyalty to Newcastle United than that. I don't think he would go for an interview at this moment in time, unless it was with the club's blessing. But I don't think he would do it. I think he's fully focused on the Newcastle job. He might not be happy, certainly doesn't look as happy. But from our perspective, I don't think he would do that to Newcastle. But if the club said, England would like to speak to you, would you like to go and speak to them? Maybe he would do that. And maybe that would be the only circumstance that would see him do that. And if he did go, he may not get offered the job. There may be a better candidate. And then the situation is irrelevant. If he's the candidate that they want and he gives a good interview, then England, I would imagine, would have to make an official approach. And then it would be in the public domain and he would have to make a decision. So it would be interesting to see what has happened. But from my perspective, I genuinely don't think at this moment in time that Eddie will walk away. But it's going to be interesting. I can't see Lee Carsley being the man to take England forward. I don't think he'll be the manager, but it will be interesting. George just getting himself sorted. I'll bring him back in a second. They are supposed to be professionals, George. They should act like it 100%. And Mark says, exactly, Steve. Clear the air talks, need to be communication, clarification with the fans from Eels and Co. Taylor says, I get the impression neither of these two are likely to put their hands up and say, you know what, it's on us. Let Eddie worry about the team. And Tom Richardson says, how about the board take the pressure off, Eddie? The imminent stadium or training ground update would do. Denise says, did we not employ a PR person for all these comms? Well, Lee Marshall does that job, and he's ably supported by Mark Hannon. So we do have a PR and media team. There's no doubt about that. But at the moment, I guess, they're probably struggling as much as everybody else. And David says, if Eddie did go, who the club would replace him with would say a lot about the ambition of the club and the owners and directions of travel. I would agree. I'm going to bring Joe back in now. Joe, welcome back.
Sorry about that, Steve. I would like to say there was an electrical storm in Gateshead, but
right.
That wasn't quite right. So I've had to go next door and lend her a quid off her next door to put a pund in the meter.
Classic. Councillor
Times are hard.
I'm just going to say what Mitchell said, Steve. He wouldn't step in his way if England came, which, yeah, that's probably says it all, mate. Okay, and of course, the right hornet's nest with this England comment, Joe. So we're moving on from England.
It's always my fault.
It is all yours. But Blue Rhythm Boy asked this question. Okay, that Gazza Bruno question was too easy, Joe. Now for a hard one. You've got to bench one of these. You've got to start one of these players. You've got to bench one, and you've got to sell one. So here's your three players: Beardsley, Gazza, and Waddle. Who would you start?
I've got to start Peter Beardsley.
Okay. Who would you bench?
I'll start Peter Beardsley because out of the three of them, one bit of magic from Peter Beardsley could win any game of football. And that's the only reason, that one bit of magic that he had that no other player in the world has, apart from Messi, probably. Gazza on the bench because I'd bring him on after a minute.
Yeah.
And I'd sell Waddle because Waddle's a little bit older than them two. And he could command the best fee. Sorry, Waddler, but you'll get more money off you.
Good stuff. Gary Miss says, I used to have Mirandina high-tech boots at school. I was there, Gary, at the high-tech shop. Foot Locker, maybe it was called. High Bridge Street, when Mirandina came that day to do the launch of those boots. Great stuff. Tom wants to know if you've still got any of your boots from the days when you were playing, Joe.
Yes, I'm going to see them regularly, Tom, at Beamish Museum. Knocked the dust off a few times when I've been up there, but I'll tell you one thing though, Tom. What I did do, a lot of players used to change the boots every season. I had one pair of boots for 8 years, my same pair of boots, and they would get knackered, they would get holes in, they would get the stitches ripped and whatever. And I used to take them to me same cobbler in Newcastle that used to do all the lads' football boots. He'd been the fella that was second nature to the football club as regarding the footwear. He had everything, and he could make them boots. And people used to say, why you're tight? Why you're not getting a new pair of boots? You could easily get a new pair of boots. The club would give you boots. The amount of goals that was in them boots, I didn't want to give them boots out until they were falling off my feet, because I was going out there thinking, them boots have scored lots of goals, and I'm going out with them because I might not score the day, but the boots might.
Classic. Michael West says, I'm sure Mitchell, Howe and Eels would be in dialogue on a weekly basis for sure. Let's just get behind the team and stop all the speculation. We're united. Other questions. Taylor said, which football moment would you relive over and over again if you could, Joe?
It's easy. Like, you mean when you're scoring the number 9 shirt for Newcastle, they call it the shirt of legends, the shirt of kings, whatever. You know what? The fact that Jackie Milburn had it on and Malcolm MacDonald had it on and the great players before I ever got the chance to put it on and to score in the number 9 shirt, they kind of take that one away.
All right. Tom Dixon says, Joe, how long do you think it'll be before Newcastle could win the Premier League?
Well, before Saturday, I would have said Saturday night because it would have been top of the league. It might have been for 24 hours, but let's face it, you know, you're in that position and we haven't played well. So if we play well, can we get back into that position? I always believe in doing things. It's all to do with 2 things, I think, and it's about actions and willingness. Have the willingness to win and have the actions to do it.
Tom Richardson says, Joe, back in the day, 4-4-2 was the formation of choice. Did you have a favourite formation? And if a 4-4-2, who would be your strike partner and which 2 players would be behind you?
Obviously, I've got to say, any formation that I was getting a game with, and that was any club that I played for, I didn't care as long as I played. Invariably, I'd end up front. My striking partner would be the best player that I ever played with as a striker. At all the clubs I ever had, was Peter Beardsley, without a shadow of a doubt. I said to him on a number of occasions, how did you do that? And he used to shrug his shoulders. You know, he was just a one-off genius, Peter Beardsley. The 2 behind, I'd always have Gazza, because of the fact that Gazza would play in any team for me. And I'd have him playing with Vinnie Jones, who I played with at Chelsea, and he was me. I lived with Vinnie for over 11 years altogether. And I'd have Vinnie just next to Gazza, so he couldn't reproduce that picture of Wimbledon, who was supposed to be playing tonight at Plough Lane, when he grabbed him by his family allowance.
Michael says, playing as a striker, Joe, who did you find hard playing against defender-wise?
Well, I used to say, like, there wasn't a difficult opponent because I didn't like giving them praise. But when I played against Paul McGrath of Manchester United, I played against them a couple of times. Once for Newcastle reserves, believe it or not. Sorry, Paul, but I scored 2. And the next time I played him, he was captain of Aston Villa and I was playing for Chelsea. And I thought I was about 10 yards ahead of him and I'm going on a one-on-one with a keeper. And all of a sudden, this leg come from nowhere and they said he was slow. They said he couldn't do this and couldn't do that. Paul McGrath, for me, was probably the best centre-half in the world, never mind that I've ever played with. He was absolutely outstanding. For a player that didn't really train regularly because of his injuries and his ailments that he had, but Paul McGrath was outstanding.
All right, good stuff. Still got time for a couple of questions. Do you think Lewis Hall could play in a forward role, Joe, in midfield?
Well, there's always that left-hand side wing-back position, as they say. I think he's got a hell of a sweet left foot. He's a very talented boy. You can see that he's comfortable on the ball. When he played the other week against Wolves, what I didn't like was he was coming inside a lot. He was bringing the ball inside instead of playing it up the wing and play with Gordon like Traore did with the right full-back on Saturday against us. You know, he's given the chance, and he's given that chance of that freedom to go past Gordon as well. I would have liked him to see him do a little bit more positive. Maybe he was under orders to keep the ball, to be patient, what have you. But at the end of the day, he's out of the team at the minute. He might be regretting not going that way a little bit forward more, you know.
Last question. Joe, did you play against Luton when Kenny Wharton sat on the ball?
No, I never played in the game, but I was at the game. We were apprentices and we were at the side where if you remember back in the day, Tyne used to have the camera back when there was only 3 cameras at the match. One behind the goal, one halfway line. That was the apprentice area where the camera was. And I saw Kenny do that in front of the gallery. I think it was the corner flag, wasn't it? Yeah. And it was very cheeky at the time, but Kenny was a very, very cheeky player.
Quick prediction for the weekend, Joe. Man City, Newcastle at St James's Park.
Well, the thing is, when you play Man City, you know, you're not just playing Man City, you're playing the Pep Guardiola machine. People have said, you know, they're the best team in the country. They have been in the last couple of years. People are saying the best team in Europe. Real Madrid might have something to say about that. All I'll say is, when you're playing anybody, it's 11 against 11 on a Saturday afternoon. There's 52,000 plus the rest. shouting and screaming. For them that's playing in a black and white shirt, and I swear to you, if there was 11 monkeys playing, the supporters at St James's Park would be cheering them off the absolute park. I know, because I was one of the monkeys on a number of occasions, and they were always behind you, and we can beat anybody at any time. But at St James's Park, our fortress, we can beat Man City.
Prediction?
2-1.
2-1. Joe, see you next week, mate. Take care.
Cheers, Steve.